You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
And also joining us on the line, who's actually be fighting on UFC 133 this Saturday, Paul Bradley.
Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you. I mean, he's actually understating it. It's Paul the Gentleman Bradley. Why don't you tell us a little bit how you got the nickname the Gentleman?
My former management, Scott McCorkle, when I first got started in this whole thing back when I was training in Indianapolis, he's just really good with nicknames and came up with it and kind of stuck with me ever since.
But does it mean that you're like really smooth with the ladies, or does it just mean you're smooth in the cage?
I think it's more smooth in the cage, and I think I'm just my mannerisms come across more like a I don't know, more of a gentleman type of person instead of a Neanderthal out there just swinging for the fences, you know.
Right, you're not the type of fighter that's going to throw a punch after the bell or kick somebody in the groin.
Exactly. It's about sportsmanship and conducting yourself in and out of the cage.
Yeah, well, you've done a very good job of that. You've got an impressive record so far, 18-2 overall, and you're coming off 3 straight wins, so you got a lot of momentum going into this Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. You know, things have been going well, and got the call not this past Monday, but the Monday before, and can't turn down opportunities like this.
Yeah, so tell us about that phone call when you found out that you were replacing Philippou. What was your reaction? What was the conversation like?
Well, you know, I had just fought on Saturday, so I was actually planning on taking the week off and recuperating and then getting back in the gym the following week. But got the call from my management saying UFC 133 needed a replacement either for Philip Constantine or Rafael Natal because Jorge Rivera, Alessio Sakara, he apparently tore his ACL, so Rivera got to choose which one he wanted, so that left, he ended up choosing Constantine, and then so that left Natal without an opponent, and they asked me to step up, and I said absolutely, and here we are today.
Just wondering if you could remind the listeners, we've heard your name before in UFC. Can you briefly touch on your experience in The Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah, you know, I made Season 7, won my prelim fight to get in. Everything was going really good, and then it came down with a contagious skin disease or skin funk, and then was pulled aside, was kind of quarantined a little bit, and trained a little bit on my own that second day of selection. So, you know, got pulled aside by Dana and just told I had to leave, and really there was nothing that I could say or do to change the situation. So. I kind of licked my wounds and headed back to Buffalo, and it's been 3 years to the day. So,
now, is that the worst injury you've sustained while being an MMA fighter?
No, you know, I haven't had any too bad of injuries. I think I broke my thumb. Pretty sure I broke my thumb one fight, but other than that, you know, nothing really big that caused any major setbacks in my career. So,
now. Briefly, can you describe your time in Strikeforce?
You know, when I started with Strikeforce, won my first fight for them on the Challenger Series, and then was offered a fight at 185, and couldn't really turn it down. I hadn't fought in about 6 months, so I was living off fight money. And anybody who knows, you know, fighting, you know, you're not making a ton when you start off. So I actually took the fight. I lost, and then. It was kind of a weird situation. I got my release letter in the mail, and then had my management contact them, and they said, no, it was a misunderstanding. But then I actually fought in shark fights against Johnny Reese, won that fight, and then found out about a week later that I was actually officially cut from Strikeforce. So it was kind of a weird deal. It was kind of a little bit shady, but hey, it is what it is.
Well, there's been a lot of weird deals in Strikeforce lately. It's actually one of our big topics for this show. But getting back to UFC, let's talk about your opponent, Rafael Natal. How do you feel that you're going to match up with him on Saturday?
You know, the guy's got pretty good grappling. You know, he's a black belt. I think my stand-up's a little more crisp. He throws a little more wild. So plan on coming out and pushing a hard pace that first round and hopefully getting him tired. And then from the last fight I saw, it looked like he kind of he gassed out a little bit. So looking to push the pace, and then from there, once I get him a little tired, if I want to take it to the ground, I'll feel a lot more comfortable. But thinking in the beginning, just keep on the feet and I'll strike him and get him a little tired.
Very good. And I look at Natal's fight record, and he's got almost half of his wins by submission. And you said you'd be comfortable on the ground with him, so obviously you're feeling pretty good about your either your jiu-jitsu defense or your wrestling, just being able to hold him down.
Yeah, I've fought other black belts before, trained with a lot of black belts, so I don't get tapped out often, like if at all. And then, you're adding punches in, so changes the dynamic in the jiu-jitsu part a little bit. So, like I said, I've done a lot of reviewing on his tape and stuff, and just looking for holes and weaknesses that he can see. So.
All right. Well, we don't want to give away too much of the game plan. If you found any holes, I want you to keep them to yourself and not give them away on our show. But
okay.
Well, basically, you've already had this discussion before. Did it change your, make you feel any different? Of course, you had the Shark Fights fight with Johnny Reese, and fighting another guy come from the same organization you're from, same background, all the above, and pretty much under the same management. How did that make? What was your thoughts when you got asked? You came from here, and so was he. What was your thoughts on that up front when you was asked about the fight?
Johnny was actually at the gym across town. I was at Damage Incorporated, and I believe he was at I'm not real sure the name of the gym, but he was across town with Chris Idol and those guys. So I knew who Johnny was, and we talked briefly once in a while when we run into each other. But this is business. You got to take the fights that they give you, and no hard feelings either way. So we both understand it's the business, and we shook hands and we were cool after the fight. So. It is what it is, I just, I try not to, I moved up to Minneapolis because there's not a lot of 170-pounders at my gym, but there's very good 155s and then 185s, so, I try to surround myself with good training partners, but not so many at my weight class, because we're seeing it more and more, these big camps, you get too many guys at one weight, and then, sooner or later, they have to fight for title contention, so. It's causing a lot of problems, so I try to distance myself from the big camps that have 170s. So, and I think that's good. So.
Wonderful. Well, I usually ask the same question to every guest that comes on. Can you give some advice to some of the listeners, the way that they might be able to reach the potential and on the stage that you're at now?
Just keep at it. I've had a pretty rocky road to get where I'm at right now, and I haven't accomplished anything yet. What gets accomplished is what comes on Saturday. So, just stick with it. I started off 5-0 and got my shot on the Ultimate Fighter show. It didn't work out, and it took me 3 years to get back to where I wanted. So, perseverance and persistence is the key in this sport. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. You're going to have a lot more downs than ups a lot of the time. So, it's just staying strong and pushing through and getting to that final goal that you set for yourself.
Now, Paul, since you took this one on short notice, did they offer you a multi-fight deal? What kind of deal did you get?
Yeah, they actually offered me a 4-fight deal. So technically, I have 4 fights under them. But anyone who knows anything about the UFC, you can put on one bad performance and kiss your contract goodbye. So I still have to go out there on Saturday and perform and show that I belong. And hopefully from there, it goes on to bigger and better fights.
Well, I'm sure that coming in, you're not going to waste this opportunity. Like you said, it took you 3 years to get back, so I'm sure you're going in guns blazing and not going to let anything hang. You're not going to waste this opportunity at all.
Yeah, definitely. It's too big of an opportunity, and I've trained, for 5 years to get to this point. So, it's taken a while, but it makes it all the more well worth it. So, definitely going to go in there and leave everything in the cage.
Absolutely. And speaking of leaving everything in the cage, another one of the people on the card who's fighting on short notice is Tito Ortiz. So how do you think he's going to do against Rashad?
I like both the guys. I'd like, I just think Rashad has too good of hands now, and he's got great wrestling. But Tito's a bull, man, and he's on a roll right now. So if he can get him to the ground, I think he can win. But, I just see Rashad being too quick, and his hands are, too fast, and he's improved light years from that first fight with them.
Yeah, I agree. It does seem like if it goes to wrestling, it definitely favors Rashad, and quickness of the hands probably favors Rashad as well. But like you said, Tito does have an awful lot of momentum coming into this, and sometimes, as we've seen with guys like Chris Lieben, when you fight on short notice, it actually works in your favor because you're already in shape and trained, and you got nothing to lose by taking the fight.
Exactly, and I talked to Tito briefly down in the lobby, and he's hungry again. He looks great, and he seems more excited about this fight than, I can't say, how he's felt before his other fights, but man, there's that gleam in his eye, and he's ready to get in there. So Rashad better bring his A game.
Yeah. I hope they both do. I'm looking forward to a great fight on the main event of the card, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the beginning of the card. So it's going to be a good night all around.
I'm just wondering, who would be your dream opponent in the middleweight division of the UFC?
Obviously, I'm not real sure. After this fight, I'm planning on dropping back down to 170, but in the 170 division, it's stacked top to bottom. That and 155 are probably the most stacked divisions, but obviously everyone's gunning for George St. Pierre, which, obviously that's the final goal, but John Fitz, I think I'd match up real well with a guy like that. And then, there's just a ton of potential opponents that, I would like to get in there and try to show the world, who Paul Bradley is. So.
Well, we're all looking forward to your fight coming this Saturday. And is there any final words you want to give to our audience?
You guys can catch it on Facebook, and you can hit me up on Twitter at Paul Bradley 184. Or hit me up on my Facebook. Just looking forward to being the first fight and setting the tone for the rest of the card.
Hey, thanks for your time, Paul. We appreciate it, and we taking the time out to do this, even though you're getting ready for a big fight on Saturday. So we appreciate you coming on, and we hope we can talk to you again in the future.
All right, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.